You won't believe the plot twist on this one. It's no secret that the CEOs of major companies like to present themselves as benevolent leaders, engaging in philanthropy, championing social causes, or taking pay cuts to appear selfless. However, these actions may have hidden intentions. In today's video, we'll cover Gravity CEO Dan Price, who back in 2015 announced taking a massive pay cut and the subsequent increase of salaries for everyone at that community. You have to stick to the end. However, since the story takes an interesting turn, remember this is not financial advice, but make sure to subscribe for more interesting stories just like this.
A credit card processing company with a CEO who 6 years ago did something that shocked everyone.
And we're going to have a minimum $70,000 pay rate for everyone that works here.
You had people making $35,000 a year, but you told them you were going to double their salary.
Yeah.
And then you actually had to do it.
Right.
How did you pull it off?
Well, it's tricky. You know, I took the $1 million pay cut.
That's right, $1 million pay cut. Dan Price was simultaneously hailed as a hero and eviscerated as an enemy of capitalism.
So you've almost doubled the number of employees,
Yeah.
and you've tripled business.
Yeah.
And you're still paying a minimum of $70,000 a year.
Correct.
How much do you make?
I make $70,000 a year.
To pay his own bills, Price downsized his own life, sold a second home he owned, and tapped into his own savings.
When companies prioritize employee well-being by giving their employees a raise, the effects on its workforce can be massive. Such actions not only boost employee morale, but also lead to increased productivity, loyalty, and overall job satisfaction. Employees feel valued and recognized, which translates to a higher quality of work and greater commitment to the company's goals. It is also a way for employees to feel that their contributions are truly valued. Another example is Japan Airlines, where in the late 2000s, during a period of financial difficulty for the airline, CEO Haruka Nishimatsu made a remarkable decision to cut his own salary to align more closely with that of the average worker. At one point, Nishimatsu was earning $90,000 annually, a salary lower than many of the airline's pilots. This sense of shared purpose played a crucial role in helping Japan Airlines navigate through its financial difficulties and eventually return to profitability. Nishimatsu's leadership style became a symbol of corporate responsibility and integrity, demonstrating that fair and empathetic leadership can have a lasting impact on a company's culture and performance.
I think it was a big risk.
Yeah. Andrew Haffenbrack teaches at the University of Washington's Foster School of Business.
It does go against what people expect and what we usually see in terms of corporations and companies.
These days, average CEO compensation is 320 times more than the salaries of their typical workers.
This shows that isn't the only way for a company to be successful and profitable. Do you pay what you can get away with, or do you pay what you think is ideal or reasonable or fair?
Saying pay what you can get away with or what's a fair price when it comes to salaries oversimplifies and misinterprets how the job market operates. The job market, like everything else, is economics. It's fundamentally driven by supply and demand, which makes these statements inadequate and misleading. Salaries are largely determined by the supply of labor, that is, how many people are available and qualified to do the job, and the demand for that labor, which is how many employers need those workers. When demand for a particular skill set is high and the supply is low, salaries tend to rise because companies compete to attract a limited pool of talent. Conversely, there is an abundance of workers that a specific skill set and fewer job openings, salaries may stagnate or decrease. Additionally, the idea of paying what you can get away with ignores the dynamic nature of the job market. It assumes that employers can dictate wages without considering market conditions, which is not true. That's why relying on such simplistic ideas only leads to misunderstandings about how wages are set.
Why aren't more companies doing this?
I would say that's the failure of this. You know, I feel like I've been shouting from the rooftop like, this works, everybody should do it. And zero big companies are following suit because the system values having the highest return with the lowest risk and the lowest amount of work. Our turnover rate was cut in half. So when you have employees staying twice as long, their knowledge of how to help our customers skyrocketed over time. And that's really what paid for the raise more so than my pay cut.
This is not a novel idea and has been in practice in Europe for decades now. One notable example is the Mondragon Corporation in Spain, one of the largest work cooperatives in the world. Founded in 1956, Mondragon has a unique structure where workers own and manage the company. The pay ratio between the highest and lowest earners is intentionally kept low, being at 9-to-1. This structure ensures that all workers benefit from the company's success and contributes to a strong sense of community and shared responsibility. In Germany, the concept of Mitbestimmung, or co-determination, has also influenced corporate pay structures. Under this system, employees have significant representation on company boards, giving them a voice in executive compensation and wage policies. This has led to more balanced pay scales. For example, the German engineering giant Siemens has a long-standing tradition of involving employee representatives in decision-making processes, including salary decisions, but you might be wondering, what do Gravity's employees think about this pay raise?
We are right on track for the American dream. You know, we have a beautiful baby boy, a wonderful home, a beautiful life. We're not only just living, we're able to thrive.
New parents and coworkers Carrie Chen and Alex Franklin can't wait to introduce their son to colleagues at work, a company they say made it possible for them to begin a family in the first place.
And you weren't the only ones that had a baby, huh?
No, everybody had a baby.
So it's a baby boom here. Why do you think that's happening?
We can afford it.
That's the American dream right there. Many young people in the US are choosing to delay to avoid having children altogether due to the rising financial costs associated with parenthood. The US Department of Agriculture estimates the average cost of raising a child to age 17 approximately $233,610. Not including college expenses, that's approximately $12,980 annually per child. So having a $70,000 yearly salary removes a lot of the concern about having and raising a child, but not all the employees were happy at the company.
Wait for it!
The Seattle Times reached out to more than 24 previous Gravity employees who said, quote, Price became obsessed with curating his compassionate persona, even if it didn't match the person behind the viral posts. Adding, quote, as CEO, Price cultivated a sense of fear and built a company that, as one former employee put it, was just there to get Dan famous. If you couple this with Dan's ex-wife's claims about him saying, quote, I think he always wanted to be famous and there's some prestige that comes with being able to own something, and he's always wanted to make a lot of money.
The company did take a hit during the pandemic, losing 55% of its business in March 2020. At one point, Price figured Gravity was only 4 months away from failing, but it bounced back after its employees voluntarily took a temporary pay cut.
We reduced our salary to $40,000.
Yeah, I think we took each about somewhere around 60%.
Are you back up to normal now?
Not only back to normal, Gravity repaid us all of the pay cut that we had voluntarily given up.
And they're able to say thank you to the man who made it possible.
He has his dream car. We're like, hey, let's if we all chip in just a little bit, we can make it happen. And we did.
Oh my God! My employees have done way more for me than I could ever do for them. So the fact that they wanted to get me such an unreal, amazing gift, it's pretty special. I don't know if I can put it into words.
I'd like to expand on the pay cut the employees took voluntarily because according to 10 previous employees from Gravity said, quote, the pay cuts weren't something the workforce offered. Instead, employees were given two choices: take a pay cut or face layoffs. The cuts were voluntary, but those who declined felt ostracized. That's a completely different story than mentioned in the clip that we just watched. I think we should take into account the possibility of Dan trying to build a brand where he's the center of it, because reportedly Penguin Random House apparently offered Price $500,000 book deal. However, they did withdraw the purported deal. Gravity Payments published the book. Another report claims that Dan is, quote, now getting speaking gigs at the hottest conferences in America for $100,000 a pop. This brings to mind the saying, if something looks too good to be true, it probably is. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think the CEO raised his employee salaries out of goodness, or were there hidden intentions behind it? Let's get their conversation rolling in the comments down below.